What is up, YouTube? Brian here, back in another video, and I guess it's St. Croix week here on the channel because I just want to shoot off a quick video because right now it's Monday. We are in Bassmaster Classic week, and there's a lot of fishing brands and companies who save like certain launches and releases for the Classic. Like Garmin's got their new Live Scope Plus coming out, and I was told a few weeks ago that the St. Croix relaunch of the Legend Tournament Bass rods is going to be debuted at the Classic. And sure enough, this morning I saw that St. Croix had a social media post talking about the new Legend Tournament Bass. So we're gonna dive a little deep into this. But first off, if you are not following me, you should check me out on Instagram. I'm gonna be doing a giveaway. We just hit 2,000 followers recently, so I'm gonna do some kind of sick giveaway in the next couple of weeks. So I would highly suggest checking me out over there. So that being said, we're going to dive over to the laptop screen here and go over some things. So I've kind of been stalking the St. Croix website in the last couple weeks, knowing that this launch was probably going to happen. And St. Croix has a history of loading their products onto their website to correspond with launches. Sometimes they put stuff up right away once they throw some kind of social media teaser out there. And in this case, they did. But what was interesting is I saw that social media post on Facebook about the Legend Tournament Bass. It was just a girl holding a rod and some copy about it. But I went to the St. Croix website and I go, I wonder if these things are loaded up. So if we go to products, rods, and if we go to freshwater, they buried the new St. Croix Legend Tournament Bass series on the very, very last page. So if we scroll all the way down and we go to the third page, and if we scroll all the way down, they buried it. So they kind of don't want people to find it. Maybe, I don't know, or it's just the way they order the products on their website. I don't know. But anyway, either way, they have all the specs and pricing on the Legend Tournament Bass. So we got our Bass LTB spinning and casting models. Now, I have a history with the Legend Tournament Bass rods. They were kind of, when they came out, they're kind of like a gateway for me into high-end rods. I used to have a lot of the Avid X's and other St. Croix rods, and then when the Legend Tournament Bass came out, they're pretty sweet at the time. And I think at one point I owned maybe 6 or 7 of the models, but as I used them and as time went on, I started to really actually kind of dislike them. I didn't appreciate the balance for the most part. They were just terribly weighted. Almost all the rods were bad. The jerkbait rod was fantastic. So the 610 jerkbait rod in the old Legend Tournament Bass, that was a killer rod. Fantastic rod. Most of the other ones, including the spinning rods, the balance was really bad. And I didn't really realize how bad it was until I started trying other rods that had way better balance, like Shimano stuff and Daiwa. Anyway, the long story short is I kind of dove headfirst into LTBs, bought a bunch of them, fished with them, wasn't wowed by them, and I ended up getting rid of all of them. So, and I think that was a common story with a lot of people in Legend Tournament Bass. And I think St. Croix rebooting this line is a great idea because I think they kind of got leapfrogged in a lot of departments with those rods. So the relaunch is great. I'm kind of excited about it. So let's dive in. So that being said, I do have experience with these rods. I've owned a lot of the previous models. So let's look at these and see what we can figure out from the website. So let's look at I have the spinning page pulled up. I also have the casting page. Now, this is an early product load on the website, so they don't have very great pictures, but like looking at the spinning models, I'm noticing that they have some kind of cap down on the bottom. I don't know if this is EVA or if it is something else, maybe carbon fiber or something. Maybe they're taking some stuff from other, like the Legend Tournament Extremes. I don't know. It's hard to tell from this picture. I'm sure we'll get proper photography of these rods releasing this weekend during the Classic Expo. I'm sure we'll get a bunch of videos from St. Croix talking about all the technology in these things. So I'm not going to go too deep. I'm just going to kind of give initial impressions. So let's look at the product specs over here. There's a couple things that are interesting in here. So if you notice, it looks like they're doing more blends. So all models will feature SC4 plus carbon fiber, a strategic layup of exclusive SC4 and SC6. So it seems like St. Croix, like with the Victory line, they're doing blends of their different rod materials. I don't understand the SC versions of St. Croix. I've been a long-term St. Croix customer, and I still don't understand that SC3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all that stuff. I don't understand any of it. It doesn't make any sense to me. They have like 45 different rod technologies that they put into their rods. None of them I understand as a layman. And I've been a customer there for years. You'd think I'd figure this stuff out, but I don't. So I don't know. It looks like this blending, but also what is interesting though is select models have the SC4 with I-Act glass. I have literally no idea what I-Act is. I don't know. I'm sure St. Croix will explain it to us at the Classic Expo. Either way, I-Act glass. That just means it looks like these are going to be carbon glass composite rods. They're going to be partially composite, partially glass. I'm guessing it's going to be all of their cranking models in the series. So they already have the Legend Tournament glass, which is their full glass models. So bringing in some blended rods is the natural step, which is kind of cool. That's what Shimano's doing. It's what a lot of companies are doing. Anyway, so let's look down here. They're getting the same guides. So K-Series with Alkanite rings, that's the same guide train material and like guides that were in the old Legend Tournament Basses. K-Series with Alkanite is pretty par for the course for like $250 to $350 rods. That's nothing special. However, this is interesting. They changed the reel seat on the spinning rod. So I don't know what that SK2 reel seat is. I'll have to look that up. But if you notice, the reel seat on the spinning rods are completely different than the old Legend Tournament Bass. The old LTBs had like a plastic thing with like a hump. They were actually pretty okay. I like the old Legend Tournament Bass grips. They weren't too bad. They fit my hand pretty well, but I think this looks way better. I like that they have all that foregrip material up front. That looks like it could be a pretty good rod grip. Digging that. This is what's interesting. I noticed precision mean aluminum reel seat nuts and wind checks on spinning and casting models. I don't know what wind checks are. Does anyone out there leave a comment if you know what the heck a wind check is? I have literally no idea. So precision mean aluminum reel seat nuts. That's interesting. Does that mean that it has an aluminum cap over a plastic piece on the nut, which is very common in like megabass rods? Or is the whole reel nut actual aluminum, like the whole thing? I highly doubt it. I bet you it's just a cosmetic aluminum cap that goes over a plastic nut, which is like the way it's done in almost every rod. So I don't know. Be interesting to see if that really matters. Full grip. Some models are going to have full grip. I don't know if the spinning models are going to have full grip or if that, because this is all copy and pasted across the spinning and casting models. So I'm guessing some of the casting models are going to have full grips. I doubt the spinning rods will. Model specific hook keepers selectively placed per technique. This is interesting. Are the drop shot rods going to have special hook keepers for drop shot weights? This is cool. I think more companies need to do this, like actually take into account what type of techniques it's probably going to be thrown and place the hook keepers accordingly. Let's see, 2 coats of flex coat, 15-year warranty, and as usual, built in Park Falls. Now, I will say I'm glad they brought back the light blue color because I think the old Legend Tournament Bass rods looked fantastic. Visually, they look great. I think that light blue pops. I think it's one of St. Croix's best colors. Unlike the Legend X, like with that pea soup green, which doesn't look very good, I think these are going to look sick. So anyway, I like these in the looks department. Guide train, keep it simple. New grips on the spinning rods. Let's look at the specs. What's interesting here is I'm going to pull open the specs from the old spinning rods. So this here right here, this is the old Legend Tournament spinning rods, and this is the new. If you notice, I think the prices are pretty much the same. $290, $300 was the price point of the old Legend Tournament Basses, so it does not look like St. Croix gave them a price bump, which that's great. Let's do more of that. So let's look at here. There's a couple new models. It looks like they kind of took the old Ned rig rod and actually look at I gotta look at this. I haven't done too much studying on this so far, so you're kind of looking at it new with me. I'm noticing that the drop shot rod is still there, the 610 medium light. The 6.8 dock skipping rod, the wacky style, is now the pinpoint. So they're kind of renaming a couple of these things, but it looks like it's the same thing. The 6.8 medium extra fast, the 6.8 medium extra fast. So if you were a fan of the wacky style, it's back, but they renamed it to Pinpoint. I have no idea. These names are stupid. It looks like they're bringing in the 7.3 medium power finesse, so that rod that we all like in the Victory line and in the Bass X, I believe. Look at that. It's in the Legend Tournament. So if you want that upscale version of that 872S NRX clone rod, it looks like it's here, and it's in the 7.3 medium. This is interesting, though. There's a medium light version. So there's a Drop Shot Finesse XL. Now, the thing is, the 7.3 medium is already really soft, and if they're doing a medium light, that thing is going to be squishy. I cannot wait to see this particular rod in person, because I bet you that thing is going to be squishy. Hellabass is messaging me. There's also the hair jig rod, so that 710 medium light that they got in the Victory line is also coming up to the Legend Tournament Bass, and it's a one-piece. Unfortunately, I really wish they would have done this rod in a two-piece, because many of us, including like maybe kayak guys or people who throw their rods in their cars and trucks, or guys like me who have older bass boats that are locker challenged, we can't fit these 710 rods into our locker. A two-piece would have been great. I wish they would come out with a two-piece travel rod version of this. I would totally pick one up. But this is interesting. So not only do they have the 710 medium light, but they have a 710 medium moderate swimming bass. I'm guessing this is for throwing paddle tails. It's going to have a moderate action. So this is a $335 rod for bombing Kitex or small like spark shads or paddle tails. That's what it seems like to me. That's interesting. That is a new rod in St. Croix. I don't think they've ever done anything like this particular model. So hats off to them. So there's some new stuff. So we got the Power Finesse. We got two 710s. We got a weird 7.3 medium light drop shot rod. The 7.3 Power Versatile. Now this looks like it might just be a step up power-wise from the 7.3 medium. So it's 7.3 medium heavy. I'm guessing this is going to be aimed at your finesse jig and tube crackers. And so people who want a little extra power, it's rated up to 3/4 of an ounce. So if you're dragging like football jigs, like finesse football jigs around, I think this is really aimed at the tube crowd. And then of course you got your typical 7.1 medium all around drop shot rod. So I will say that the spinning rod lineup looks excellent. I think they have a lot of things covered here. The X factor is there's not many people making 7'10" medium light spinning rods. I mean, Loomis has the 9.0s, like the 901, 902, 903, and those are 7'6" or 7'5", I don't remember, but they're not 7'10". So these are big, long rods. St. Croix, if you're watching this video, please come out with two-piece versions of these at some point. I will happily buy a two-piece version. I'm not buying the one-piece because I can't fit it in my rod locker because I have an older boat. Anyway, all right, so that's the spinning rods. Let's move over to the casting rods. Now, the casting rods, there's a couple interesting things. Let's look at the video, or let's look at this grainy picture here. I think this is that aluminum lock nut that they're talking about. I still think it's a cosmetic piece. It'd be cool if it isn't, but I think it is, because that's usually what everybody does. You got that cool blue, you got your cork, and they did change the reel seat on this as well. So, let's see. Let's just dive right into the specs on these and look at the models. And I also have the old... So this is the old one, so I'm going to cover this up. So, all right, so what we got is we got the new versus the old. So the Legend Tournament Bass rods got a little out of hand towards the end of their run. St. Croix really went nuts and added more and more models, maybe to its detriment. I think it maybe got a little too crazy. Oops, sorry, I keep losing that window. My bad. So I will say that I think that St. Croix could, I think they're focusing the line a little more, and they also are adding in some new stuff, but they're also not going into the 8-foot rod category. So if you notice in the old Legend Tournament Bass rods, there's a lot of 8-footers. You had an 8-foot flippin', 8 bullfrog, mag cranker, and an 811 flip punch. I mean, they got crazy, like this big swim bait rod, and they even went into a 9-foot rod. I mean, there were some crazy rods over 8 foot. All of those seem to be missing from the new Legend Tournament Bass series. So, excuse me. So let's see. We got the jerkbait rod is back, the 6.8. You got the 7-1. They used to call this the jig and baits rod. So that 7-1 medium heavy is still here, but now they call it the all in. So some of these models, they just changed the name. Otherwise, they're all pretty much the same. Carbon cranker. So this is what's interesting. They have three 7'2". They have three 7'2" moderate action rods, and I'm guessing these are going to be the graphite composite, the graphite glass hybrid rods. Whereas in the old rods, they only had one. They had the one 7'2" small cranker. So they basically blew this line out into three different powers. So they have a finesse. It goes down to a 1/4 ounce. So this is going to be your light crankbait rod. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. Wait, they have these in the weird order. So they have I'm looking at these wrong. Sorry. The finesse carbon cranker goes down to 5/16. That's pretty light. So that's going to be your really light baits. And then you have the medium, heavy, moderate. So this is interesting. I don't get the difference between the mod fast and mod. That's weird. So you got three of these 7'2" composites. They're all the same price. They're all $315. What's weird is these two, the carbon cranker or the finesse carbon cranker, they both have the same 7/8, but the finesse goes down lower. So I don't know. Maybe this is targeted at BFS. Maybe, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to find out. The Rip and Chatter is that 7'2" medium heavy moderate rod. This is going to be the lipless crankbait rod. It's the medium. Or no, this is the heavy version. So this is going to throw your jackhammers and whatnot if you want that 7.2. So that's $315. Power Finesse, the rod from the St. Croix line that kind of rivals it's kind of the copycat of the NRX 873. That rod is here. So if you're looking for that St. Croix Victory 7.3 heavy Power Finesse rod, the one I've done a video on this rod. I have this rod. It's really nice. They're bringing this into the Legend Tournament. So that's cool. So some of the cooler models and the Victory is coming up to Legend Tournament Bass. That's one of them. The 7.3 medium heavy Workhorse that is rated up to 1 ounce. This to me is an interesting one because the Power Finesse is already really squishy and it's an extra fast. And this Workhorse is going to be like a fast, but medium heavy. But it's a higher rating than the Power Finesse. I don't know. I'm kind of puzzled by the Workhorse. I'm guessing that's just going to be like their typical like jig rod. I don't know. Don't know what that one's going to be. So Flip Chat Crank. This is another heavy moderate rod, which is weird because they already have the Rip and Chatter. So the Rip and Chatter is a 7.2 heavy moderate. The Flip Chat Crank is a 7.3 heavy moderate. I don't know, man. These cranking moderate rods are kind of confusing. Like, they're kind of similar, but they have slightly different ratings. I don't know. In hand, we're going to have to figure it out. Like, you got to pick them up in hand and see what they're actually, like, kind of going with these. Then you got the old classic. I mean, this is the rod. The 7.4 heavy is the rod that St. Croix has been doing for years. It comes in all their rod models. They've been doing, this is like their classic, their Sloppin' Frog. I mean, it's just their typical 7.4 heavy. This is kind of their frog rod, their light pitch and flipping rod. I like the 7.4 heavy. I've had a few of them over the years. It is a good frog rod, but it is a big rod to work all day. No matter which model 7.4 you use in the St. Croix line, they're tough on the wrist. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm guessing this one's going to be, I've used other 7.4 heavies. They're good rods. You can definitely pull some frogs out of some nasty stuff with them, but they're tough on your forearm, man. There's a 7.4, another cranking. Man, they got a lot of moderate action rods. So if you notice, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rods that they're calling moderate. So they are really going after the moving bait market with the Legend Tournament Bass. I mean, that's shocking to me. I can't believe how many moving bait specific rods they're building in this. They must really like this glass carbon composite rods they're building, because they are throwing them up and down the line. So anyway, one rod I thought that was interesting is this Warhorse, this 7.5 medium heavy fast. This to me looks like it's a competitor to the like maybe the NRX 893, maybe the 894, more probably 893, rating up to 1 ounce. Medium heavy fast. This seems like an 893 clone, or maybe the Steez bottom contact clone. So this looks like that 7.5 grass fishing jig rod that like everyone's making nowadays. So that's kind of cool. I don't think they didn't have that in the old line. So that's a new version that's a new rod. So this Warhorse is a new one. That's kind of cool. And then they have a moderate fast 7.6 heavy flippin' stick, flippin' with an end like that. Who came up with that name? That's so stupid. But the flippin' stick, the actual flippin' stick, the real flippin' stick they have is a 711 heavy that's rated up to 2.5 ounce. That's the big boy flippin' stick. That's the one if you're punching mats and you're flipping 1 to 2 ounce. This is the one you're gonna pick up. So they got the big boy flippin' stick. They have this weird 7.6 maybe Japanese JDM inspired moderate flippin' stick. That one's kind of interesting. Some of these rods are kind of confusing. I'm gonna have to get them in hand to kind of figure them out. But anyway, the prices are about the same. So that's cool. They didn't put the rod weights on the graph right here. So, and then they have like this super generic handle thing. So I'm guessing these bigger rods like the Power Flippin' and the Mag Cranker. I bet you these 710, 711 rods are going to have that full cork grips. That's just my prediction. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about this. There's some cool rods. There's some new stuff, new reel seats. Hopefully they got the balance on these things figured out. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. St. Croix has a terrible track record with balance on rods. I'll believe it when I see it, put it that way. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps. I'm curious about this rod line. I think it's very ambitious of St. Croix to go all in on the new Legend tournament. And it looks like they're taking some stuff that they learned and maybe did well on the Victory line and they're bringing it up to Legend Tournament Bass. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I'm excited to get my hands on these. I'm going to try and grab 1 or 2 when they come out, give some first impressions. I am rooting for St. Croix. They are the local company up here in the Midwest. So I'm not a St. Croix hater, but also I expect good things from them. And it looks like they're going in the right direction. The Victory rods are actually pretty great. And this series looks like it's got some potential. So until we see them in hand, who knows? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough with me. I got this set up here in the studio. I can just kind of rip these videos off whenever I want. And we will see what other fun toys the Bassmaster Classic this year has for us. So if anything else cool pops up, I will shoot another video and we'll talk about it. So thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.